Well, hey friends, if you are tuning into this video, then I am assuming that you have watched listened to episode 1 of the Deep Faith podcast, and you want to be a better student of Scripture. You want to take your study of the Bible into your own hands, and you are here because you want to learn more about how to parse out individual words of the original languages to actually see what the original authors intended. And so I'm going to help you do that today. I'm going to give you a walkthrough of one of my favorite tools. It's called BibleHub.com. I use this to prep for sermons. I use this in my own personal study. And like I said, you don't have to be a linguist. You just have to have the right tools to be able to understand the original language and what the authors were actually saying. And this is going to help you do that. So I suggest, if you can, that you pull this up on like a desktop or a laptop computer. It's a little bit easier to navigate that way. You can totally accomplish the same thing on your phone. It's just a little harder to navigate. The website, you can tell it's older. It's not cutting edge. You have to scroll quite a ways down to the bottom of the page to get where we want to go if you're on a phone or an iPad or anything like that. So if you can, highly recommend pulling up this site on a desktop, but let's get going. So let's look at, when you open up the homepage here, BibleHub.com, this is what you're going to see. You can use this little pull-down menu here to find a verse if you want. I find it obviously easier just to type one into the search bar. And for this example today, we're going to use the example of 1 John 2:15. So you can type that in, you can hit search, and then it's going to pull up this screen. You're going to see here off to the left verses in different translations of the Bible. So it's got the NIV, the NLT, the ESV, dozens more. So you can read how they're translated into English differently. It gives you an audio Bible. There's some context, some cross-references and things like that. But we're not going to look at any of that right now. What we want to look at is this button right here that says Greek. Now this verse is in the New Testament, so that's why it's Greek. If you were reading something out of the Old Testament, it would say Hebrew. If you are on a mobile phone, this might be where you have to scroll like all the way down to the bottom to find this button, and on the next page as well. I don't know if they've updated it for mobile. It might be at the top, but we want to take this button here, and to discover more about the original language, we're going to click on the button Greek. And so now it's going to take us where we can see kind of a more literal word for word or phrase for phrase translation. So this verse says, "Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him." Okay, pretty daunting verse. But John uses the word world a few different times, and I preached on this at our church probably about a month ago, and I was like, man, what does John mean by the world? Like, does that mean the earth? Does that mean its people? Does that mean what God created? Does that mean something else? And so I wanted to find out what that word meant, and what I found was really interesting. So what you can see here is it gives you the English, and then it also gives you like how it's actually spelled in the Greek alphabet, and then how it's kind of written in English from the Greek. It also tells you the part of language here, and then you'll see here, so for world, John is using the word cosmon here. Cosmon is a noun, is what it tells us. And then it says a kind of a definition, probably from the base komizo, orderly arrangement. So it gives you a broad definition. It's saying this word world that John is using is referencing some kind of orderly arrangement. But I want to know even more. So you'll see here this blue Strong's 2889. That's a reference to a Strong's concordance that exists that they've cataloged online here. So I like to open this in a new tab because I like to flip back and forth. So you can right click, you can just click on that blue one if you want. I've already got it open here in my new tab. And then it's going to take us to a page. Now you can see 2889 at the top is cosmos. And you're going, wait, I thought our word was cosmon. Well, it is. Cosmos is the root word. And the fact that John is using something other than cosmos, cosmon, means that he changed the phrasing or changed the word just a little bit to give us a more specific definition. So whatever word comes up at the top here is going to be what the root word is in the original language. And you can see here under the lexical summary, it gives you kind of a again, like a transliteration, a pronunciation. It gives you the phonetic spelling so that you can learn how to actually say these things out loud. And then it gives you just a broad definition. So again, number one, we see that definition of orderly arrangement. And I want to know more about what that orderly arrangement actually is and what that means. So what we're going to do next is we're going to scroll down this page even more, and we're going to see here Thayer's Greek lexicon. This is where the world really starts to open up for us for the original languages. You can see labeled in blue are all of the different scriptures throughout the whole Bible in which this word is used. Now, obviously, if they're in the Old Testament, it would be the Hebrew version of that word, but it's where the word world is referenced. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to find the blue label that says 1 John 2:15 that gives us a definition. So I found it. It's all the way down at the bottom of the page. And this is where studying the Bible in the original language can take time and intentionality, because I had to scroll for a while to be able to find it. But you can see here, it says in our blue label, 1 John 2:15, and then the definition that it gives us here, just up above in the paragraph for number 8, it says any aggregate or general collection of particulars of any sort. And then it says a world of curses. So what that's telling us is the way that we should read this in English or translate it to English is that it is a collection of things that are ordered, because our root word was an orderly arrangement around curses. So when John says, do not love the world, he is saying, do not love the world that is ordered around curses. Hopefully that makes sense. We know that when we read the Bible, this world is cursed because of sin. It's fractured because of sin. And so it's talking about do not love a world that is ordered around sinful things, around the curse of sin. So that makes it really interesting. So now if we flip back to our first tab, and we insert that, John says, do not love the cosmon, which he's saying the world ordered around curses, like we just discovered, okay? But he uses this word again, and he says, or anything in the world. Now, if you're back on our first page and you look at that word world, it says now that he's using a different word. He's using cosmo instead of cosmon for his second reference about the world. So I want to know why he's differentiating. What's the difference here? Now, you'll notice that it's the same reference, Strong's 2889, so we don't need to click there again. We already have that page open. What we need to do is find the other place where John is referencing this here. So 1 John 2:15. Now, if we scroll up one, what we see is that in number 7, it says worldly affairs, the aggregate of things earthly, the whole circle of earthly goods, endowments, riches, advantages, pleasures, etc., which all though hollow and frail and fleeting, stir desire, seduce from God, and are obstacles to the case of Christ. So that's like a pretty big difference from just a world ordered around curses. That's pretty specific, okay? So if we, again, go back and we insert these two definitions, then what John is actually saying is do not love the world ordered around curses or anything in the world such as goods, endowments, riches, advantages, pleasures, which although hollow and frail and fleeting, they stir our desire, they seduce us from God, and they are obstacles to the cause of Christ. And then John continues and he says, if anyone loves the world, and we see again, it's that word cosmon. So if anyone loves this world ordered around curses, then the love of the Father is not in him. So you can see how just parsing out the same word and it being used two different ways totally changes, or at least explains, the way that we should be interpreting that scripture. John isn't saying hate the earth, like hate God's creation, anything like that. He's saying don't love this world that is fractured by sin, and don't love the kinds of things that sin offers us that can never actually satisfy us. And if you do, the love of the Father is not in you. So that's a pretty profound meaning. When we go back, when we look at the original language, it really opens up the way that we read that scripture. Now, I want to address one thing that could probably be a little confusing. Like, obviously, 1 John is referenced here in number 7's definition and in number 8's definition. How do you know which one's which? Like, if it's mentioned twice in the same verse, how do you know which one applies there? Really, all you have to do is the Greek word that I'm highlighting here. You can kind of Google those and kind of see like which one is being used. You can even ask ChatGPT. This is a good way that you can use AI to read the Bible, is you can say like, hey, I'm reading this verse in the original Greek language. This one says cosmo, this one says cosmon, which one is which? And ChatGPT will tell you that. So that's where I think AI can be good as a little bit of a time saver after you have already done the work yourself to look up these things. So that's what I often do when the verse might be using the same word and it's mentioned in two different places on Bible Hub. But again, this website does this for the whole Bible. It has the Old Testament, the New Testament, Hebrew, Greek, the few places where Jesus speaks Aramaic is in there. And this will just so enrich the scriptures for you. Like, I can't even explain how many times I've gone back and read something in the original language and goes, like that's different than what I took that to mean in English. And so it's an incredible tool to have. It's a really easy tool to use. If you have any troubles with that, any questions, always feel free to reach out to me at Deep Faith Pod, or you can reach out to me through my website, deepfaithpod.com. But I really hope that this enriches your study of Scripture. And again, it does take time. It does take intentionality, but I think it's worth it to follow the God who holds our eternal salvation and to really let him speak for himself about the things that he said. So that's how you use Bible Hub. That's how you find the original languages. I hope that you really enjoy this tool and that you use it for all it's worth. So thanks for joining me.